Cool. So just wanted to make a video about like just how to switch over to Linux from Mac OS. Basically, I've used Mac OS for pretty much every single little thing. Well, not really. I'm used to using Pop OS on my main desktop for gaming, because Linux works awesome for gaming nowadays. Anyways, so using Pop OS, it's basically the easiest distro to get up and running, especially if you're running a laptop that has integrated graphics and a dedicated graphics card. It kind of handles a lot of the everything, all that annoying stuff for you. So basically, just install this. Obviously, simple. Just make yourself a USB stick. I already had one laying around for my desktop. Go ahead and install it. Only weird thing about this one is I ended up buying a laptop yesterday, just the ROG G14, the one with the 5590. Yeah, the 590 Ryzen. The Ryzen 9 5th generation, right? I don't know how to pronounce it. Anyways, and a 3060. It's all good. The one thing about it is this one came with a weird Wi-Fi card that didn't work out of the box just because it was missing drivers in the kernel I was using. So obviously, the easiest way to fix that is just go to mainline, or not go to mainline kernel, install mainline kernel, just bump it up to the latest one, just tether your phone or use an Ethernet connection. It takes like 2 seconds. For the most part, you don't really run into those issues. Just research the laptop you're going to buy. It's just if it comes with a weird Wi-Fi card, you can always just buy a different one. In this case, I didn't really care because I knew how to go ahead and get that fixed. So that maybe took maybe like 10 minutes of my time, because basically what I'm trying to argue is that people say Linux is free if it's not worth your time. That is stupid. That's not the case. It literally takes less than an hour to go ahead and set up a computer from scratch. And partially from my end, I tend to switch computers a lot, and I tend to like nuke my operating systems all the time just because I like to tinker with them. So I've gotten proficient at it, but in reality, if you kind of like do some research on what you want your system to look like, and if you're coming from Mac OS, you pretty much already kind of know what features you want out of the box straight away. But yeah, anyways, running Pop OS, installed mainline kernel just to get this Wi-Fi card working. I could always just change the Wi-Fi card to an Intel-based one rather than this weird one, and it would work out of the box. Anyways, then installed OMIC shell, or it's pronounced OMIC shell, I think. So because that's what I like. Obviously, you have to change your shell. It takes like 2 seconds. Same thing. You can research this if you have Mac OS, how to do it on Mac OS. Because basically, most people did this in Mac OS before it became the default. Then next thing I did was install NVM. Takes like, I don't know, 30 seconds to get this up and running. Now you have Node and all the Node versions you're going to need to work with. Then just install Docker Engine. They have a convenience script. I'm lazy. I use the convenience script. I'm not super like into like the whole, I want to manage every single package that's running or every single process that's running on my computer. I'll eventually get there, and the goal is eventually to move to more esoteric distros of Linux. Goal is probably to end running a Gen 2 system, but for the most part, right now, Pop OS just works fine for me, and I don't feel like tinkering that much with it right now. So install this. Obviously, run the after install once, which is just basically granting your Docker root access, which should be careful about it. But in this case, it's your laptop. You should be fine. And then obviously go ahead and install Docker Compose. That maybe took about 7 minutes. And the cool thing, if you're coming from macOS, when you're actually running Docker on Linux, it's running on the actual system. It's not making a VM to run it inside of it. So it's performant. You can actually run your services without your computer sounding like it's going to take off, or basically just being super slow to the point that it just annoys you. So yeah, just get that up and running. Then obviously the one thing you'll need to work nowadays, and this is coming from this perspective of a like your average run-of-the-mill like web developer, node developer, PHP guy, not a fancy low-level guy at all, or any sort of fancy programmer. So just get yourself some VS Code. Takes about like a second to install. It'll go in the right place and everything for you. Go ahead and get it set up. You can rice it up however you want. In this case, I have this theme. It looks cool, right? I like to install the Docker package, just like my Docker containers, being able to toggle my containers while I'm in the code. Obviously, put whatever teams and whatever you want to set it up with. So you basically have everything ready to go within like 1 hour, right? And most of it is just waiting for installs, depending on your internet speed. So you have Docker, you have Docker Compose, you have NVM, which gives you Node versions. In this case, I always run the LTS, or latest stable release. So that's most of what you need to get started, right? So the other thing you'll need to go ahead and do is obviously get yourself like something like Datagrip or whatever database tool you prefer. It's the first time I'm actually opening this one. Don't import settings. So I have a license, but let's just trigger this. So you'll have this relatively quick and running. So now you have your way to edit your code, run your services, and a data thing, right? The other thing you might need is just Postman, right? Lately I haven't been really using Postman. I've been using Thunder Client. I've been using this guy. It's just easier. I've gotten lazy lately, and I don't like leaving my editor. Otherwise, I get distracted. So I've just been kind of like just running stuff on the same screen. I feel faster that way. But obviously, you can get Postman. You can either go to postman.com and install it, or if you want the lazy way, just open up your app installer and do Postman. Postman. Give it a second. Right? Where's? Oh, here it is. Oh, it's already there. You can choose how you want to install it. Oh, it's only Flatpak available. Okay, cool. And yeah, so you'll hit install and have this up and running. I literally just got this computer like a couple hours, like last night, but I didn't really get started on working on it till today. Cool. So now we have Postman, and in typical Postman fashion, it's gonna take like 2 years to boot up. Don't kind of like Postman. And cool. So something about the system, I guess we can kind of showcase while Postman decides to come alive is you obviously have 16 threads, which is sweet for if you're running like a bunch of Docker services and a bunch of stuff at the same time. 16 gigs of RAM, which is fine. You can upgrade it. One of the DIMMs is soldered, so you can only update one, which is fine, which gives you like some weird configurations. I think the highest you can go is 40. So that's all fine and dandy. Yes, Postman, good. Took you forever to boot up. That's one thing I don't like about Postman. It takes forever. Anyways, so that's kind of all you need to go ahead and get started. If you're a PHP developer, obviously you will go ahead and get PHP installed. I mostly run my PHP through Docker now just so I can control the versions. Sometimes I want to be lazy and I just want to use something like Valet, Income Valet, which you can do. So there's a Linux Valet, Laravel, and you can go ahead and get this and use this if you're used to using that, or you can use Docker containers, whatever floats your boat. And that's pretty much all I need to work. And obviously you can go ahead and get Slack, but I'm not gonna open mine because I have all my stuff there and I don't want people seeing that. What else would you need to go ahead and get started working? Oh, you need Zoom, right? So you can go ahead and get Zoom. It's not a difficult process. So Zoom, either you can run it through the browser or you can go ahead and install it. So there is an install for Linux. How do I download you? Solutions. No. This. I don't want to buy it. I just want to download it. I normally just download it whenever I actually have to. Oh, meeting client. Choose Linux type. Some people like doing everything through the terminal. I'm just lazy. Give me this. Okay, that's fine. Go ahead and spy on me. And I know some people say like using installers like this is a bit of a crutch. Don't steal my password. I mean, there's nothing in this computer that's actually valuable anyways. I'm just going to wipe it at some point in the near future. And now we have Zoom, so it can spy on us and we can join our work meetings. So yeah, that's about all it takes to go ahead and get started on Linux for development. And it's basically the same as Mac OS. Probably your trackpad won't be that nice, but it's a little bit more efficient in my opinion. So yeah, that's all, guys.